Yeah, let's go. I'm unstoppable, do the impossible. I'm irresponsible, yet I'm phenomenal. I got an arsenal, I'm dropping bombs, you know. No, I'm not stopping, no. Conquer the obstacle. To the top, here I go, think I'm chosen to be the king of rock, think the people have spoken. I can hear the tick-tock of the clock, I'm in motion. So now I'm gonna pop, causing all this commotion.
Yeah, sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable. Yeah, ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right, I swear to God that I could drop you, bro. Yeah, I got a shot and I ain't stopping, no. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable. Yeah, let's go. I don't care what they all say. That's right, I'ma do this thing my way. Let's go. Been grinding hard on it all day. Okay, we work hard, then we all play. Yeah, I'm addicted to the grind, man. That's right, so I refuse to waste time, man. Yeah, one day it all will be fine, man. Let's go. Gotta commit to the climb, you know, man. We're back with the Guinness, setting records every minute, every track. In addition to the fact that we're winning, still we lack something's missing. Need a track that is hitting, making racks, making millions. Oh, yeah. That's the mission. I don't waste time, no, I make time. All these people wanna hate, fine, I'ma make mine. While you sitting there complaining, I'll be training. While you sitting there just waiting, I'm creating. Yeah, sometimes I think that I'm unstoppable. Yeah, ready to go, man, lock and load. That's right, I swear to God that I could drop you, bro. Yeah, I got a shot and I ain't stopping, no. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable. That's how I know that I'm unstoppable. I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning. These ladies know that I'm sinning, and this is just the beginning. I'm closing in the night inning. There ain't no point in resisting. Living life like a dream, live it right, that's the thing. Every night got a team, I've been tied to the scene. Out on stage, here on screen. Okay, this a dream, and I pray as a team. One day it'll be me. If I want it, then I get it. Head down, don't regret it. Push myself to the limit. If I play it, then I win it. I'm just saying, I'm just living for today, for a minute. I don't stay, I just visit, have no shame, I admit it. Looking on me to see if I succeed, to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now. pray to God, man, I'ma make it soon. Silence all the haters as they see us making moves. I do what I want, so I got nothing to prove. Staying motivated, teaching others what to do. I'm staying focused, my mind is open. They start to notice that I'm in motion. There is no potion, you're not just chosen. It takes devotion to stay composed, man. Never stop, there ain't no time to fall. Try to live, get it all, you got one life to ball. Thinking big, never small, cause you gotta want it all. When you finally get that call, you get ready, take it on. Need a handout, I already stand out. Starting to advance now, ready to expand now. You don't have a chance now, cause we're in demand now. Make it by the grand now, feeling in command now. They're looking right at me to see if I succeed, to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to week 9 and 10 of the NEXXTCAR podcast. That's right, we're going to be combining 2 different weeks into the same week. We missed last week, and we're joined with Peyton and Matt once again. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about tonight.
What's up, Ronnie? It's been a wild little 2 weeks here, hasn't it?
It sure has, man. In NEXXTCAR and NASCAR, I mean, basically anywhere in sports. You know, you get on ESPN and the NFL, you got guys that you would never think would get traded. They're getting traded. The Cowboys just cut their running back, Ezekiel Elliott. You know, it's all over the place. The sports world is an absolute tear right now.
There's been a lot that's happened the last 2 weeks ever since we were on for episode 8. But yeah, we've took a little hiatus, missing last week, but I'm glad to be back with you guys and ready to talk NEXXTCAR, the end of it, of the season 2, and then NASCAR and anything else we got to mention. So glad to be back.
Absolutely, guys. We got a lot to talk about. Let's jump right into it. You mentioned it, NEXXTCAR. We had the last 2 weeks to talk about. Ending it here, season 2. Well, we went back to another NASCAR historic track of, Rockingham. I watched a little bit of the broadcast. Toby Kelsey, one of the long tenured runners of NEXXTCAR, he paid for a broadcasting team to come in and do the last race, and they did a pretty good job. I watched about 15-20 minutes of it. I haven't gone back and watched it yet, but Matt, I know you missed one of the races, if I'm not mistaken. Peyton, you were in them, so walk us through how Rockingham went. I know that obviously that's a very historical track, and NEXXTCAR 2 years in a row, we've ended both seasons at a historic track. Last year was North Wilkesboro, this year was Rockingham.
Yeah, I was in Atlanta Sunday, so I didn't get to do the truck race. But just like you, I tuned in for a bit and watched that race. And what a wild ending to the season. Sure, Ronnie Norman got his championship in there and in Cup, so congrats to Ronnie on that. But, crazy finish. And then, brand new winner to end it off. So congrats to Camaro for getting his first win in NEXXTCAR. From what I saw in that race, it looked extremely interesting, to say the least. I feel like there's so many ways like you can run that track, and it's all about tires and stuff. And that came up with the Cup race, and the Cup race, surprise, surprise, I failed to say tires again. But Ronnie showed us how it's done and took away with that one. So 2 races, 2 fun races, 2 great races, great way to finish off the season.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
good.
Oh, you're good. I missed the last 2 weeks trucks, but I ran both Cups, so what we run it? Where'd they run trucks? Was it Kansas, and then
Kansas. Yep.
Rockingham. So yeah, I kind of missed out on getting top five in the points, but yeah, I had other stuff had to do. So, but yeah, like Tim said, congrats to Ronnie Norman though. He was class of the field, both in cup and trucks. So good to see him get the championship. Had or he won two championships. So new champion for the NEXXTCAR on the iRacing side. So and he's a good dude. So it's nice to see him win as much as he wins. So uh, he showed his stuff and got the job done for the season. So it was good. I think a good overall season two. Couldn't have asked for. We had a lot of controversies like we usually have, but by the end of it, got everything all straightened out too. So it was fun. I mean, it was good.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys mentioned it. Norman was on a mission this season, and he really could have had the championship locked up after Kansas had he have not made that just uncharacteristic mistake at Canadian Tire, where he was leading, wrecked it, and I think he came back to finish third or fourth. I don't remember which,
I think he got third.
but it just he was on a mission all season long, and the championship was honestly a lot closer than it should have been. Dunford, he got the win at Canadian Tire when Norman was struggling, so obviously that got him into a better position. But I think if I remember right, I was watching the broadcast, and I think they said like 24 guys had to show up in order for Dunford to win the championship. And obviously that didn't happen. I think 19 or something like that showed up, but still good outing. Last race of the season, obviously the championships decided between two guys at that point going in. But still, it was great to see, that amount of people show up and come out there. And, season two, it was a really fun season. Unfortunately, I was like you, Matt, just other things came up and unable to finish it. But, it is what it is. And season three, we have got a lot of things in store here for season three. This ain't the podcast to go into all that, so further details to come. But, yeah, season three, if it's anything like season 1 and 2, where especially with the new expansions, season 3 is going to be a lot of fun.
You're gonna want to tune in to all of our channels on that too. So there's gonna be a lot of new exciting things that Ronnie and Nick have got working on. So it's good to be in the NEXXTCAR Racing League for iRacing for going into our season 3. So it's pretty good, except for 10 win the modified championship. So
Hey, I'll take it. But looking back on the season two, I mean, like we said, Ronnie Norman just those last 2 weeks, theoretically, points wise, like, both series he had guys right on his tail. I mean, sure he had a little bit of a gap, but he clutched up and held on and pulled away at there at the end. So good job to Ronnie, and he kind of set the bar for now going forward. I mean, a lot of people, and including even new drivers, forget that this league is extremely new to iRacing. There's guys on this simulator that have raced for absolute like years at this point, and there's a lot of us like when we're starting these seasons and adding tracks, we've never even been there, let alone had a lot of experience in that series. So kind of got I don't know necessarily humble, but it shows you how quick we can become, and it gave guys confidence. I mean, sure Ronnie was dominant, but it's not like he like lapped us 3 times most of the time. But everybody had a rabbit to chase, and I feel like that elevated everybody's skill set. And I'm super excited to see how next season goes. 'Cause everybody knows where that bar is now. They saw what Ronnie did in both series, and I feel like a lot of guys are going to put some effort into the off season and trying to improve. Should be a very exciting and interesting season 3.
Absolutely. And next week we'll try to get some other guys in here, but I just want to hear it from you guys, and then I'll go. Start us off, Peyton. What was your highlight of season 2 this year? What was your moment? Besides the modified, we're not talking about the modifieds. So besides the modifieds and Cup and Truck, what was your highlight of this season?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, going into this season in trucks, like I just had so much confidence. I put a lot of time into that. Trucks have always been my bread and butter, and just just the terrible luck I had all season long. I really don't think I ever really had that moment in truck. However, surprising enough, even though I've never been huge on Cup and especially the next gen. That car's different, but I had two highlights I feel like in the Cup side, and that would be racing hard for the win at Phoenix with JD. That was an awesome battle. Both of us, sure, either of us could have used the bumper or raced, a little dirty, but we kept it clean, and I mean, that's how I like to race. So, and that Atlanta race, man, me and you talking it out at the end, we had our strategy, and I haven't smiled so big, when we were both side by side 3 and 4, because I knew we were getting a win for the team. So, I think those would probably be my two highlights this year.
Matt, what you got?
Yeah, freaking Peyton stole mine with Ronnie winning Atlanta. But, after the way the season started with the lights going out at Talladega, we got to talk about that. That cannot go unforgotten.
I forgot all about that.
So, uh-oh.
We did.
That's all. That's the quote of the Ronnie Noggle broadcast for season 2 is uh-oh. So, but on a personal, I'd probably say for me, getting 2 truck wins at Auto Club and Bristol. So those were the Auto Club one. Race Norman on that last restart. Kind of got to the front row by a good grace of God with Toby's having his incident, and Don Francesco on that happened. So that was good. And the Bristol race. I think I had that battle with Toby, so that was a really underrated battle where we raced each other clean to that green white checkered too. So, but then on the Cup side, there's really, trying to defend my championship, there wasn't really anything I could do. Norman was just way out there, and then Mitch also had some good races too in the Cup side also. So those two guys were class of the field for the Cup, but I was just good enough to run probably top 5 is what I was going for. I knew some of those races were very unreachable, but for one moment for the Cup highlight, I would say would be Watkins Glen, where we ran the whole race caution free though too. So that was good, except for Ronnie DQ.
Yeah, that was not a highlight of my season. I can tell you that much. The first race I've ever DQ'd in an iRacing, and I'll be damned if it wasn't Watkins Glen.
Hey, you had one small setback for a major comeback though the following week at Atlanta though. I think that was the next week, wasn't it? Was it Atlanta?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So you're at the bottom, and then now you're at the top. So
I guess the comeback was strong there, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, trucks. Both series honestly has to be Atlanta for me. The booth broadcast for the truck series, 3 wide finish with Larson down on that inside, sideways coming to the line with Mitch and Don Francisco. Don Francisco just 3 inches away from getting his first win in NEXXTCAR and iRacing. That's going to be an iconic finish for many seasons to come. And then obviously the Cup side, getting that first win. But not only that, just the camaraderie that NEXXTCAR did and everything. That was a huge highlight, so that was awesome. It definitely was. Evo, what's going on, man? That is a name I have not seen in a long time.
Oh, Evo's in the chat.
Yeah.
What's up, Evo?
But, yeah, Atlanta just, they're not going to be taught, in either series for a long time to come. So, yeah, you mentioned it, Peyton. That teamwork on that last restart was insane. Because honestly, when Norman got that big jump, I thought my race was done. And then you jumped up in front of me, and it felt like the Atlanta that we just witnessed in NASCAR, where Seabell dropped down in front of Joey with the white flag, and he got that big run, and it looked like Joey was out. Well, that was kind of ironic how it kind of turned out to be the same thing there. But, it was strange, and it was awesome to come away with that win and final start. So yeah, that was our highlights. Anyone else got anything to add about NEXXTCAR here? Season 3 is gonna be a wild one.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it all unfolds for next year. Like I said before, that bar is now set, and we'll see, if, I'm not sure, I know it's not an if, but how these guys, try to meet that bar. I'm super excited just to see what kind of level of competition we're gonna have next season. I think it's gonna be some of the probably the best racing we've had so far.
That's one thing too is it's kind of hard to believe, but we are 20 races in, 40 overall if you're not including the modifieds, just counting the cuff and truck. We are 40 races on the iRacing side for for NEXXTCAR. So I think that's pretty cool too. But we're just getting started though. So Loki is making his annual guest appearance.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah, that
always got to be
number
on camera.
that number feels big for the time frame, but it feels
Mhm.
small like compared to like how long some leagues have went in iRacing
Mhm.
and stuff. That shows you like how much we've grown in just 40 races is absolutely unbelievable. So yet again, like I'm sure we're gonna grow even more in this off season. We're getting more and more people interested in the league, so very excited.
And growing in multiple ways, not just by the league, but individualism as well. I mean, if you go back and watch any of the broadcasts from the first season, whether it's the booth broadcasts or other drivers' broadcasts, each individual person that is still in the league now has grown tremendously since season one. And honestly, I don't think anyone has grown bigger than David Chandler, honestly. In my full on opinion, I'll give
I would
David
say
props for that. Besides maybe Bocock, Steve has
I
grown a
would
lot
say
too.
I would say Sheep though too. Sheep has really improved the last
Well, I'm not talking about
couple of
just
races.
on track. I'm talking about like personality and everything
Oh,
like that.
overall.
Because
Okay,
when
gotcha.
David came in, you remember that first race at Daytona, everyone wanted him. Steve
Yeah.
wanted to wreck him every race. Everybody wanted to wreck poor David. And it's been awesome to see, like you just mentioned, growing on the track as well and improving, but off the track as well.
Yeah, I feel
No,
like in almost every racing series, everybody has that like one guy like in the field they kind of like want to put the blame on stuff. And David, when
Chastain.
he came in, yeah, in real life, stuff is Chastain. But David came in like you said. I mean, he had that target, but he worked to get rid of it. It kind of shifted a little bit. But I mean, Camaro ended up getting it, and same thing with him. I think Camaro, we had a run this last year, but I went this whole season with Camaro and had no problems with him personally. Sure, he had his Camaro moments, and maybe I wasn't included in them, but I'd say overall he really improved and stepped up this year. Heck, and even got a win at the end of the season. So shout out to him as well. So
I think you guys hit the nail on the head. David, like you said, Chastain fan, so right along there
How
with Hayden.
ironic.
But yeah, I know, right? Drives the one car, so but he's earning everybody's respect, and then team captain too. So I mean, he obviously earned enough respect to be able to do that for this season. He's probably I would assume he's going to do it next season too. So got probably the same kind of captain lineup.
Mhm.
But yeah, but then like you said, also Camaro having the one incident with Auto Club where he kind of took out the whole field, and then getting suspended the next week too. So he's come a long way also. So it's kind of not good to see him get that Truck Series dub to close it out, and then you also got other guys improving too. So I think another one would be Don Francesco, like that Atlanta race. He really showed
Mhm.
what he had, and then there's another handful of guys that probably I could take and mention too. So, and then Dunford too. So yeah, you just keep
yeah.
list keeps going on. The talent is very underrated in our league. So you got guys now any given week that can run top five. I mean Cole Larson literally did it too. Yeah,
Mhm.
so there's another name. So but yeah, everybody this league is really competitive. So
And like you said, I mean, there's a lot of guys I'm sure look back in this, oh, I want to hear my name, but
Mhm.
we really can name out everyone. There's been massive improvement, like Ronnie said, since season one. Like Jimmy Emos, I know he will tune in. Like that dude has improved a lot since the very beginning. There was times that I know, not hating on the dude, like you're a little scared around him, but then he showed improvement, and there was like he actually looked like a skilled racer and knew what he was doing. I was really impressed with how much he improved in just a short time. So, and like you said, the list goes on. Everybody continues to improve. That's why I said the competition is just going to continue getting more and more. Like if you don't keep up, you're going to get fade out of the lead pack quickly. I mean, easily. It can flip next year, and I look for guys that have been here and continue improving to continue to improve. And I think we'll see a lot of new winners next year.
Absolutely, I sure hope so. But let's move on to NASCAR here. You just mentioned it, Tuck. Penalties, suspensions. Well, Hendrick just found out what that's all about for I think about the first time in their history of NASCAR that NASCAR hasn't swept something they did under the rug here. But after Phoenix, what a suspension they just had, huh? $100,000 for all four crew chiefs suspended and 100 drivers points. That is insane. And then the playoff points, I don't remember what they got docked for that. 15, I think. 10. So that's huge. That is huge right there, the playoff points, because you saw last season just how important those playoffs are. Those points. So, yeah, Hendrick, those hood louvers will get you every time, and they found out.
The thing about that is the largest penalty in NASCAR history. It topped Michael Waltrip's penalty back in 2013 with that spin gate.
Mm-hmm.
So your NASCAR's setting the line here. Like they're not wanting to mess around. I mean, it was kind of ironic how last year, same weekend, Keselowski gets fined for his stuff and gets docked 100 points, 10 playoff points, but he was really nowhere close to contending though. So I mean, it really didn't go for show. But then you also have, like you said, for Hendrick, Bowman literally was leading the points, got a Phoenix, and then now he's outside the top 20. So all those guys are trying to fight and call, try to get back, except for Byron. Byron's win still get him in the playoffs, but you got Elliott coming back, and then Bowman and Larson literally are just trying to fight to dig out of that hole. I think their appeal process is a couple days.
Yeah,
but we'll find out what the ruling is. But then my boy, old Justin Haley, I'm still beating Justin Haley in NASCAR points, so that's not a good sign. So, but yeah, I think the one thing I think that's going to happen with his appeal though is I think that Hendrick's got going for him though is that they never raced the cars. Like they found him pre-practice, pre-qualifying before they took the lovers or whatever, however you say it, out of their, or they took it away from their team. So I think they got that going for them. But the way that Gordon said it on the pre-race show is that it was like a modification. That way they would fit. It wasn't like anything like to help the car like improve or like help downforce or anything. Because what it is, like the air goes through it, right, and then it just goes out.
Right.
So I mean, there's really, I don't know what it could possibly do for less downforce possibly, or air going off for drafting. But I mean, they're at Phoenix though, so I mean, there really wasn't anything drafting wise there. So that's why I understand. But it's gonna be interesting to see what NASCAR does with the independent appeals process, how they ruled that. So if they rule, if they give the points back, how much do they give back, or do they keep it the same, or do they just uphold the penalty? So we will see. So Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a crazy penalty. I mean, like you said, it's the biggest in NASCAR history, and I don't really think it's necessarily the biggest NASCAR history because the money, which theoretically it is. I mean, is the biggest fine NASCAR's ever gave out, but I think just the points are so massive. I mean, sure, the 100 points basic penalty on each car basically makes it so no Hendrick car will win the regular season championship. Now, there's no way they're going to make that up. But the 10 playoff points, like those 10 points follow you the entire season from right now all the way to the championship race in the Final Four. So, and Hendrick Scott, I mean, 2, 3, maybe even all four guys are realistic. I don't know. I don't know about all four, but they have championship, level talent on their roster. So, I mean, this throws their whole season like, in a loop. I mean, Hendrick would almost be better off if they were starting like fresh right now this season than with their penalty. Like that's crazy. And that's saying with like Byron winning 2 races and everything. That's just a massive penalty. I think looking at both sides of the argument, I can see Hendrick's argument that the parts they get rushed out. There could be flaws. They're not exact. They're not always going to be the exact same, and I can understand that. The thing that throws me for a loop there, though, is with the 31 car. They only took one. They said only one of them was messed up. So if it was consistent, if there was a consistency problem, you would think the Hendrick ones, when they went to Hendrick, maybe only a few of those would have been taken. No, they took all of them, and all of them were deemed messed up. So that looks a little rough. I do think Hendrick, if I had to predict what's going to happen, I think they're going to end up like getting a little bit less of a penalty, but I still think it's going to stand. I think they're still going to get hit with a hammer pretty hard. The one thing I do want to say though is funny that Chase Elliott, I think his injury was a blessing in disguise because since he's not with the team, he didn't get hit with his penalty personally. So I would argue Chase Elliott is a better spot, except for William Byron probably because he's got a few stage points. But Chase comes out of this pretty clean. That's wild to think about.
Elliott moved up in the points.
Yeah.
Literally moved
Yeah.
up by
He said,
not racing. That
he
makes
said
no
at home.
sense.
He's sitting at home and said, "Oh crap, guys, we gained 3 spots."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The man's sitting there all broken legged and literally it improved. Like, what the heck, man? I don't understand how lucky he gets sometimes. It's so he's got a magic horseshoe, like what Harvick said about or somebody said who said the magic horseshoe thing like a while ago.
I don't remember.
Some with Richard Childress, I forget. It was a while ago, but yeah, but he's got Elliott's got the magic horseshoe or the magic peach down in Georgia. So
Golden boy. Oh, sorry.
You ain't wrong.
yeah.
You are not
Yeah.
wrong on that. But my thing with it is they will help downforce a little bit, which is what makes it interesting because they just revealed that new downforce package for Phoenix as well. So I think that's where NASCAR immediately was like, all right, they're trying to beat around the bush here. They're trying to find a new way. So I think that's kind of where the big suspension came from, is that because this is their first weekend with the new downforce package. The different struts and everything. So I think that's where NASCAR was like, all right, these guys are trying to find a way around something. And that's why the big suspension came out. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, the penalty is reversed when the hearing is done and stuff. But sitting right now, do you think the penalty fits the crime?
Absolutely. Like, we've seen them, give out this exact penalty multiple times this last year. I mean, I know the Michael McDowell team got hit with it. Brad got hit with it. I mean, there is multiple occurrences that it's happened. They gave the exact same. Give it to NASCAR. Give them credit on that. They're consistent about it. They don't want you to touch these parts. They're supposed to go straight on. Don't modify them. And every time somebody's modify them, they give the exact same penalty. And that's the thing that I think is going to maybe end up screwing Hendrick in this, is even if they have stuff that, try to, convince their way, I think the consistency of that call, I think it's going to probably stand for that reason. So I think it fits the crime personally. And the people that want to say, oh, but they didn't race with them. Okay, well, here's your scenario. If I go in for an exam tomorrow, okay, and I write answers in this paper in my water bottle, and before we take the test, the teacher finds out I did it, do you think I'm gonna be fine? Like, oh, you got me. Like, well, okay, I'm gonna take the test now without it. No. NASCAR in the rule books has made it very clear. At any moment, the second that car is at the track, it better be legal, and it wasn't. So I don't buy that for oh, they didn't race with them, so they shouldn't get a penalty. I think that's a load of crap.
Peyton, I will give you credit. I think that's the first analogy you have ever made that made absolutely 100% sense.
Hey,
I will give you credit on that one. We are turning a new leaf here at the NEXXTCAR podcast.
Hey,
The NEXXTCAR podcast is officially in school session.
We are improving throughout the entire NEXXTCAR. I mean, everything. Podcast, racing, everything.
Glad to see your college education's paying off there over there.
Yeah, I guess.
I will say this because I am on that hill of them not racing the cars and the penalty. With it being the biggest penalty in history, okay, they got the same penalty that Brad Keselowski got after he had raced. These cars had not touched the track at all. So you are giving them a penalty for the same penalty for a car that actually ran in a race compared to one that hadn't touched the track. And that's what all the other teams, that's what Stewart said. Like all the other owners, I think are thinking that Hendrick's going to get it back, but I honestly believe that uh, also Justin Haley shouldn't have gotten the same penalty if they only took one lover. Like, how can you give them the same penalty when the other
Hmm.
teams took two? So the inconsistency. I mean, I get why NASCAR is wanting to do it. They want to keep it a level playing field for everybody. But Stewart also said on the pre-race, I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but he said you can go down this whole line. He said everybody messes with the parts that NASCAR gives them. Like nobody takes them. He said they're so cheap and so like not up to par what they're wanting. So I mean they're gonna have to modify them. So he said there's not one car that hasn't done something to the parts. So it I think they were toning down on Hendrick though because they had just won. They just dominated two races in a row. So they're gonna look at them a little bit more than probably let's say front row or uh, Trackhouse or something like that. So they're going to look at them a little bit more because they've had all the speed. So I think that's what they did, and they saw something that they did modify, and then that's where they came the hammer down. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it. So I think it's going to be interesting with the appeals team what they rule down. So if they lower the points but raise the fine, or just take away everything, it's kind of be interesting. So that's my take.
And it's not just Hendrick that has had the speed. I mean, yeah, obviously they've had the great finishes, the 1, 2, 3, 4, but Chevy, the first four races just dominated up until Atlanta, and then obviously Ford really stepped up their game, owning the first 7 qualifying positions. But Chevy they came out to play this year from Daytona all the way to Phoenix, and really it was shocking to see how fast they were at Daytona because Chevy, they show up for qualifying every year. Hendrick, mostly. They'll get the pole and the outside pole, and then they fall back. It's like they have that qualifying set up, and come race time, they're nowhere to be found. Penske, whoever else shows up. Well, that was not the case, obviously, with Stenhouse winning, but Chevy just has dominated so far this year. And now they went to Atlanta, and obviously the draft package and everything fits Ford's forte. And now Ford is able to step up. But yeah, you mentioned it. When you dominate like that, like Hendrick was, yeah, you're going to get a little more eyes on you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if when we see something for like RCR or Trackhouse the next coming weeks, they get a thorough investigation or whatever. I will give Tuck credit on that. I do think that he's probably right when they say that. I'm sure there has been a lot of modifying that's kind of slipped under the table or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. But the problem is I have with that is if these teams are getting parts they feel are illegal and they're having to fix them, instead of doing it quietly, like why are they not being more vocal about it? Be very public about it. Complain about, look, we're getting bad parts, guys, and make a statement. I mean, they have leverage and stuff. They have a platform. I don't think they should just be like, well, the part's bad. Let's modify it and put it on. Oh well, that's all we can do. No, you got to say something. So that's the only part I don't like about that, and also the fact the intent to cheat is just as bad as cheating. Like the intent of making or trying to do a crime is just as bad as actually making the crime. And that's just my opinion, though.
One thing though about the parts, I mean, I lost train of thought. Okay, like if I forgot what I was gonna say. Go ahead, Peyton. You said
Hey,
something and
yeah,
I was on it.
yeah. I'll be very interested to see how they come down with this because this is a massive penalty. I mean, whatever comes out for this, if they decide to revoke it, like that opens a whole nother door. If they decide to change it, Brian Kozlowski and other people from last year are gonna be like, well, what the
Mm-hmm.
hell, guys? Well, why did we not get a change? So I think that's what's going to be the big key thing when they bring this up is trying to stay consistent. That's what they're trying to do. That's why Justin Haley got the same penalty. It's why this penalty matches all the rest. Consistency. Everybody complains when NASCAR isn't consistent, so they're trying to be consistent, and I do applaud them for that.
I know what I was gonna say now. You said that why haven't they been vocal about it? Well, if they're vocal about it, look what Denny Hamlin was just vocal about what he did on track.
Hey,
If they're vocal
hey,
about the parts,
hey.
then why would NASCAR wants them to go to them to talk about it? They don't want to be vocal. They're gonna get fined. NASCAR is not gonna want them talking bad about the parts
Hmm.
that they're given.
If
So
they're talking to NASCAR and NASCAR isn't fixing the problem, they're gonna have to do something else. If NASCAR doesn't listen, they're gonna have to be more vocal about it. That's just my opinion. Like, you can't, say, well, they're not listening. Okay, well, we're just gonna cheat now, and then act like that's fine. Like, there has to be better communication, and that's always been a problem with NASCAR. Is teams and drivers that just talking to NASCAR and agreeing. That's always been a problem. So, sure, it's got better, but it's just one of those things that with the new car, they're going to have to figure something out.
Absolutely, I agree. But you mentioned it, Hamlin. 2 weeks in a row, the podcast has come back to bite somebody. Well, Hamlin announced that he intentionally. They say this loosely, but they claim he wrecked Chastain. He did not wreck him.
let's have
He
10
admitted
have
it.
the floor. Let's have 10's take.
Okay.
All right, Peyton, open it up.
Here we go. All right, here we go. So, as y'all may know, in case you've been living on a rock, I'm a Ross Chastain fan. And even before Ross Chastain made a cup, I have always despised Denny Hamlin. That's just kind of ironic that, of course, Ross makes it a cup and now he's got a thing for Hamlin. So, how I have tried to understand Hamlin at times. Heck, at the beginning of the year, I was one of the guys watching his podcast. I thought it was actually really insightful and everything. I was kind of not liking him, but I was disliking him a little bit. That's progress, okay? But hey, Denny Hamlin, if you're gonna do that. At the time, I thought it was kind of stupid, and he even agreed on his podcast. If you're gonna do that, you can't go like the next day and post a podcast and saying, "Oh, look at the crime I did, guys! Look at me!" And want attention. That's what he did. He came out and said, "I did this. I purposely did this. Look at me. I made a point." He was trying to prove that he can stand up for himself. Because everybody says he's all bark, no bite. Well, that's what he went into that. Oh, I'm gonna bite somebody now. The problem is, anytime anyone's ever been vocal about admitting something in NASCAR, they've always got a penalty, and that's what happened. So, in my opinion, I think it should stand. I wouldn't mind if they do take away the point part. I think a fine would be enough. I'll be honest with that. But the fact that people are thinking he shouldn't get anything, I think is crazy. He has a massive voice in NASCAR, and it's a great thing. He's using like his platform to speak to the fans. That's awesome. I love that he's doing a podcast, but he can't go out there and say stuff like that on a podcast. It makes NASCAR look stupid. It makes him look stupid. He even admitted that. It's just an all-around bad thing. So give him a fine. Let's move on.
I don't think he should have got anything.
He ain't should have got anything. No.
Nope.
I think y'all are crazy. He
Okay,
admitted
It's-
he
I will
wrecked
give you.
somebody.
I will give you a rebuttal situation that has happened in NASCAR. Okay. Let's say driver A is in the championship hunt and accidentally bumps driver B with, let's say, about 10 to go. Driver B proceeds to take out driver A, taking himself out of a championship situation.
Okay.
What should have happened to driver B? He driver B went back and made sure this guy did not finish driver A.
Well, you're gonna be known for being like very unfortunate. The sportsmanship there would have been in it like just non-existent, and they're gonna get hit with a massive fine. I mean, look, like I said before, there's a difference of racing. Everybody races hard, and accidents happen. We've all been on the track, especially in iRacing, and we've made mistakes. Like we don't go out there and purposely cause a caution or something.
Some
And there's
of
a
us
difference
don't.
between well, I say that, yeah. There might be a couple people in our league. Anyways, not throw any dirt out. But there's a difference of accidentally doing something, talking it over, and trying to move on or whatever, and doing something just obviously on purpose, and then celebrating about it. Like,
Well, in my scenario, driver B went on to win the next race with Jeff Gordon taking Homestead. So he did not get
yeah,
anything with that Clint Boyer situation. So why is
yeah,
Hamlin getting something? Same racetrack, little less what happened. Only be
Jeff
NASCAR would
Gordon.
have not NASCAR would have not fined or gave
Here,
points penalties to Denny Hamlin if he did not say something.
here's the problem. Here's what you're forgetting. Okay, You got to think about it. NASCAR loves looking at races as a new day. Okay, they don't usually try to carry stuff over. And the last run-in that Ross and Denny had is way back, way back. The whole race, the entire race, nothing happened between those two cars. Nothing. They had no drama. It was a brand new season. They're doing their thing, and Hamlin randomly decides to restart it. So that's the difference. Like we've seen it before. If something happens on track and someone does payback, they usually don't get penalized before it because of recency, the recent knowledge of what happened and the whole situation. That's the difference in the Jeff Gordon thing and what Hamlin did.
But also Gordon had history with Boyer though, with Boyer
Mhm.
taking him out in
You're right.
Martinsville, and so
You're
there
right.
was bad
Dude,
blood there.
But he
Clint did not take
let
out
me,
Gordon at Martinsville. I will live under that rock. I will die on that hill. If it wasn't for Ryan Newman giving him that shot heading into turn number 1, they would not have wrecked in turns 1 and 2. You will not convince me otherwise.
All right.
I actually agree with
Gordon
that.
overreacted.
Okay, so let's say this. I want your honest opinions on this, Peyton.
Mhm.
Let's say Denny Hamlin does not have a podcast and does not say anything.
Mhm.
Does he still get the fine this
Absolutely
last
not.
week? Okay.
Absolutely not. No. If he would have kept his mouth shut, the event happens. Him and Ross talked about it. They moved on. They both buried the hatchet themselves. We'll see if that's true or not. But they moved on. Ross accepted it like a man. I wouldn't have. I'd have beat him up after the race. That's just some chicken crap. But
Yeah, Ross had to find a new buddy, so he just picked Kevin Harvick. So.
hey,
So why he's got to
Anyway,
take the? He knows Harvick's not racing next year, so
you're
he's got to find
trying-
somebody. So.
trying to
Yep.
change the subject. Anyways, my point being is they buried the hatchet. They talked it out, and then Denny Hamlin decided, days later, day later, whatever, to then come out and start bragging and admitting he did something. Like prime example, Bubba Wallace caused a caution at Texas one year, and just spun out. Didn't get anything for a while. It was like 5 or 6 days after he eventually admitted, yeah, I spun out on purpose to get that yellow. And what happened?
Well,
A
that's
couple days
different.
later, he got hit with a penalty.
That's different.
Anytime you admit something in NASCAR, anytime, if it's just like in the courtroom, you gotta, keep your mouth shut. And Hamlin didn't. He wanted to run his mouth and get attention, get the views. I mean, I get it. I honestly think part of me believes that while he did it on purpose, I don't think he actually let go of the wheel. I think he's trying to entertain his audience a bit for more views. I do know for 100% he did it on purpose because, I mean, he just didn't lift. I mean, there's no ands or buts about it. However, I do think when he was advertising it, I think he was overselling it because he acted like he just said, okay, I'm letting go of
Jesus,
the
take the
wheel.
wheel.
Jesus, take the wheel. We're going to the back.
It just
that
just
didn't
dawned
happen.
on me.
That didn't happen.
So, do you think he was giving a Chastain reference? The more I think about it, was he giving a Chastain reference to what happened in Martinsville? Because didn't Ross say that he let go of the wheel?
I mean, he did, I guess.
Yeah. So, and also you can't ride the wall. So
Yeah.
why wasn't Chastain
Oh my God.
fined for
No, now you're just being
for
silly.
riding the wall
Now you're
around?
just being, now you're
So
just being silly.
I know, but
we didn't advance position.
okay, but NASCAR is silly. Like literally, they make up stuff as they go. They literally just announced this week that they're doing the stupid choose cone rule for
Mhm.
Coda. Like they
Oh, they announced that 2 weeks ago.
But
well, yeah, but I mean, Brett Griffin said it on his door bumper clear. He said, "Heck, NASCAR should just make a rule
we can
every
do
week.
it all every week. Yeah.
There should just be one new rule."
I mean,
So-
but the main thing about that though is, while NASCAR always tries to add new rules to help the sport or take away rules and blah blah blah, thing of it is they have rules that are set in stone that haven't been touched and everybody knows them is gonna abide by them. So just because 1 week it isn't a rule and it isn't, it doesn't make a difference. Like everybody knows the rule. You can, you can't do what Hamlin did, okay? You just can't. All right, you can actually. Let me rephrase that. You can. You just can't admit that you did it. Like, oh, if he would have came out and been like hard racing, I just got a little tight, got in the Ross there. It sucks. We'll get him next week. Would have been over. NASCAR even admitted it. NASCAR even admitted it when they came out and said they penalized them. They viewed it as a racing incident and were moving on. And the second Hamlin opened his mouth, they had to relook at it. That's his fault. That's Hamlin's stupidity. The whole thing is Hamlin's stupidity.
So
Like,
you
that
want
makes no sense.
drivers?
He
So you
told him.
want drivers just to not say anything and like not voice their opinion, just to be quiet.
I never said that. I love. I
See,
mean, hell, the guys I cheer for and everything are two of the more vocal guys, especially Ross. I mean, well, I say vocal. He doesn't talk a whole off the track, but he talks a lot on the track.
so Peyton, what
But
I'm gathering from this is you want everyone to be the Kyle Busch. It's great to be back in the car. I'm looking forward to this race, and just
Hey,
keep repeating it 18 times
hey,
every question.
hey, if they're trying to avoid getting penalized, absolutely. I mean, Kyle
Just
Busch.
here so you don't get fined.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I
Oh,
mean, we've
that's
seen it throughout sports in every sport. You can't, sometimes I'm cool with them, voicing their opinion and stuff. However, you can't. Hamlin's bragging about a crime literally on the track. Like, there's a difference, okay? But hey, that's just me.
See, the thing about it is you're getting a different perspective of a NASCAR driver
Mhm.
than what we've ever seen. Like literally, Hamlin's doing his podcast the day after the race, so you're getting a fresh take of what literally happened. So and what he's doing, man, he's given a NASCAR audience like a raw emotion of what previously happened. So
Yeah.
and Dale Jr.'s podcast, the Dirty O Media, is literally going to keep. There's going to be multiple. I will say this: there's going to be more drivers wanting to do a podcast because of what
Mhm.
Hamlin's doing.
Yeah, and
They're
like,
going to have a more voice, and then
and like,
and then they can't say anything.
now, like I said, I love Hamlin doing it. I mean, I hate Danny Hamlin, like I said, but him doing it's awesome. I mean, it's more content for us NASCAR fans. Like you said, like he's talking about stuff that we never hear about, like at all. So you're getting a whole, new side of the sport. Him being an owner and everything. Like, sure, Corey LaJoy has his thing, but no offense to Corey,
Yeah.
he's just not as big as Danny Hamlin. So having Hamlin with backup from Dale and them being a part of that group and everything, I mean, it is awesome. He's doing it. And I love that he's doing it. I tune in. I don't necessarily tune in, but like when they post the videos of him on YouTube, I mean, I watch those. I think they're fun to watch. I like hearing what he's talking about and stuff. Like I said, though, he can't do that. You can't make NASCAR look silly, and that's what he did. And he made himself look silly. He even admitted that. But there's a difference of him talking about what's going on the track and everything, and then just making it look dumb. Like it doesn't look good. The same thing would have happened if F1, like something like that happened in F1, and a driver would have like went around and making F1 look like a freaking joke. The same dang thing would have happened. They would at least had a long ass conversation. So I don't think it's like that crazy that NASCAR came in and basically told him to shut up. Don't do that again. I will be interested to see if how they end up going with that penalty. I think they'll end up taking his points away and giving a bigger fine like they did with Byron.
Be
I'm
like
interested
Byron.
to I'm interested to see if Hamlin will learn from this and what he'll say on his podcast next. See now that this has happened, like he's only had his podcast up for like a month. Like, what's he gonna do next? I guess we'll have to keep watching and see.
He's going to invite Peyton Tulloch on to be a guest
Oh
analyst.
heck yeah, man. Yeah, if Ross is gonna decline, man, heck
Hamlin
no.
needs to have a poll of number one Chastain fans and have a Chastain fan come in every week as a
Oh
guest
God.
analyst.
Oh
Just
my
a
god,
baby.
it'd be so bad.
All right. Well, someone else that got a penalty this last week in Atlanta, Xfinity, Josh Williams, decided to park his car on the front stretch right at the start-finish line and walk to the infield. And when he was asked about it in an interview, he said, NASCAR told me to come to the infield, go to the garage. They didn't tell me I had to bring my car. So what a legend Josh Williams has just made himself out to be.
It's kind of cool though too what he's doing because he's doing all the T-shirts and all the proceeds are going to charity too.
Yep.
So I mean he's making a good or a bad situation to a good thing. So, but I think it came down to because I remember I think he said it like literally to a NASCAR official that he couldn't afford to get fined. So I think it came down to like, okay, we won't fine you, but we'll suspend your race.
Well,
So,
Hamlin
like,
was going to pay his fine.
Yeah, I saw that. I think, but that's not that wasn't gonna do anything for
Right.
him. Do I think he should have got suspended? No. Like NASCAR took a rule, placed it on a guy, that they have never done. Literally, Chase Elliott had his back bumper hanging off
Yep.
with the Roval.
And it fell off. It fell off
Yeah.
right out of caution.
Yeah. Like, you can't be that inconsistent. And NASCAR is the most inconsistent professional sport. Like, you have to be a name in the sport to get your way. And poor Josh Williams was literally just voicing his opinion, and then he gets put in NASCAR jail because of it. So I love what he did. Like, he just basically gave the big middle finger right to NASCAR as he got out of the car and said, "Come get it. I ain't taking it. This is as far as I'm gonna go."
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also interested too. Did Kyle Busch get suspended anything when he parked his car in the middle of the pit road at Darlington? He didn't get suspended for that.
I don't remember.
So why is Josh Williams getting suspended for literally about 100 feet just down the track?
I think the biggest reason he's getting suspended is the safety concern. I mean, I get it, they were under caution pace laps, but parking your car, getting out and everything, I mean, that is a little kind of like what they did with Bubba. Bubba got it at Atlanta too. Or not Atlanta. Where did he wreck? Kansas, when he wrecked Larson. You know. But, I mean, I don't know. I think the worst part about that is I was watching his Dirty Mo Media on TikTok earlier. He's on one of their podcasts. And he said that NASCAR made him sit in a hauler for the last 137 laps. And all they gave him was a slice of pizza. He said he wanted absolutely nothing else from NASCAR, so they gave him a slice of pizza. But I think that's the worst part of that, is he had to sit there for the next 137 laps in the NASCAR hauler by himself with his spotter and crew chief. That, to me, that's got to be the most humiliating thing.
He had to wait for the race to be able to talk to Wade Naughton, wasn't it?
Yep.
That's why he was in it? Okay.
Yep.
That's
and the officials wouldn't let him leave until he talked to him.
Yep. The whole event's just crazy. I just talked about, don't make NASCAR look silly and, stupid. Except unless you want to, you're going to get the crime. If you're willing to pay for it and you make it worth your while, it could be worth it. And that's exactly what the situation was. I mean, like we just said, this penalty is technically in the rule book, and I have never, ever seen NASCAR ever implement it. But I think it was a situation where, as a fan there, it's freezing cold. They refused to run even 3 laps of green flag racing. I think NASCAR just got annoyed. And I think, in the heat of the moment, they were just like, park him. He made another caution, park him. We don't want him back out here. That's not really professional at NASCAR, in my opinion, and it's a bad look. And, Josh, I agree. I'd have been absolutely fuming if I was him. And they told him to park it. Well, he did. I don't think the penalty is for. I don't agree. I think NASCAR might argue it's for safety, Ronnie, but I don't think that's why they did it. I think they're mad because he showed him up. He put him. He won over the fans. He was in the right. Everybody knows it, and NASCAR's in the wrong. And NASCAR doesn't like being made, fun of or showed up. So then they had to remind him who was in power. But shout out to the guy. That is an absolute legendary moment. I'll never forget seeing. It was so crazy. Like, I didn't see him park it, but I looked over right when he was jumping out. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And, you see him give the peace sign and run the infield. It is just one of the most surreal, random moments in NASCAR history, especially if you're there. Because you had no idea what the caution was for. We didn't know it was damage off his car. It just looked like he randomly decided to stop in the middle of the race.
It wasn't even damage. It was bare bond tape.
Yeah, it wasn't even damage.
It was 37 degrees. Tape does not stick in the cold.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think really irritated him. Like you mentioned, Chase Elliott at Roval, after his incident with Harvick, lost his back bumper. He knew it was hanging off. Everyone in the world was, unless you're Ray Charles. Everyone knew it was hanging off. And he didn't get anything from it. This guy loses a 12 by 12 piece of tape under caution. They were under caution anyway. It's not even like they had to throw the new caution for it. And
didn't the tape fall off before the green flag?
That's what I'm saying. They were under the pace laps.
Yeah. So, why didn't they?
Exactly. Roll a truck over, get out, take 2 seconds, pick it up, and dip back onto the infield. No harm, no foul.
All
Apparently
I
it was.
know is while the suspension for him sucks. I mean, that's money he's not going to get. That's points he's losing. That's a big deal for them. On the flip side of it, having his sponsors, all of them, come out and support him for what he
He
did and
gained a new
explain
sponsor this
exactly,
week.
yeah, he gained a sponsor.
And
The
he
fact that
doubled his Twitter followers.
Yeah.
he doubled the
Yeah.
amount of fans. I've always liked Josh Williams. I'm always a guy that follows all the underdogs. But after that, I love the guy. Like, he's one of my favorite Xfinity now after that because it was just a crazy moment, and I think he'll look back at this moment in a positive light. I think this will be a massive thing for his career.
Hey, but who said it? If I think it was Harvick. If you're not doing good, you got to stay relevant somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Josh Williams chose that route to be relevant, and it's paying off for him. And literally, if I'm a sponsor of him, like, you guys won. Like, your car got shown everywhere.
Yep.
ESPN was doing it. So everybody's seeing this car and his sponsor. Like, when was the last time that something was on ESPN other than the Chastain move?
I think
Like,
the
probably
fight
the
in
500?
1963.
Probably, yeah. Like, I literally got an alert that said NASCAR driver jumps out of car, leaves it in the middle of the start-finish line.
Yep.
Like, if I'm a sponsor of him, I'm saying thank you.
Mhm.
Like, more people are gonna want to jump on his car. Like it's not gonna happen again. But like, you're gonna want to support that guy. Like, now, so it's just nuts that, like, it happened. But I still give him props for what he did. Like, nobody else would have done it. They're like, oh, like Timmy Hill probably, oh, okay, I'll go park.
Yeah.
Like he was just he was just voicing his opinion on what he thought was wrong, which it was wrong of NASCAR to do that. And I stand with him 100%. So
I'm gonna need you to tell Van Olsen in his ARCA race at Talladega to do the same thing. Just park it right in the middle of the track so you see NEXXTCAR.
Yeah.
oh, Van Olsen, not Van Olsen.
Yeah,
Oh,
God.
where'd I get Van Olsen?
I don't know.
I don't even know the guy that we're sponsoring. Oh boy.
Yeah, way to go. That's live.
But
So,
man, the Cup
yeah,
race
yeah.
at Atlanta, that was a pretty good race. You mentioned it, Peyton. The Xfinity race couldn't run 3 laps under green, and then you get to the Cup race, it was like a regular NEXXTCAR weekend. You got the truck race; they'll go out there 17 cautions, and the Cup race will have 3, and that was kind of what the Cup race and truck race compared to this week at Atlanta. But yeah, the Cup race was awesome. Once again, the first 2 stages, kind of on the boring-ish side a little bit. But then everything ramped up in the 3rd stage here. And Almirola. I watched the Radioactive. Have you guys watched that yet for this week's? The Fox Radioactive?
No, but they came out and said that he had a puncture though, so it wasn't.
No, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
But if you watch that Radioactive, listen to his crew chief. On that 3rd stage, he said, "We're not pitting. 100 laps to go. We can make it." 100 laps on those tires. He wasn't making it. And decides
Legit
to...
it was the real life Lightning McQueen. No
Pretty
tires,
much.
just gas.
Exactly. And yeah, it turned out to be the result of him and Larson.
Yeah. I will say this, the Cup race, like, it's the new super speedway mile. You're not going to have 3 wide racing anymore at super speedways. And drivers have said that they don't like super speedways, but it's an entertainment thing. Like, I personally enjoyed the race. I liked how literally they were battling hard. Like, Grant, you couldn't really move throughout the field. You had to position yourself well to, like, try to make moves to get up to the front. Like, that move Eric Jones made, I don't know where the heck he came from.
He got one heck
to
of a
go
run.
from, like, out of the top 15, finish 8th on the last lap, like, it just shows that they can do it, but I just don't think they don't want to, like, make daring moves. Like, the Cup race at Daytona, for instance, like, you had to get the run to be able to execute, and then Atlanta, like, same thing. Like, Corey LaJoie gave Logano the bat out of the hell push and got him right back to the front. So it was an entertaining race, and I think that's just going to be super speedway racing from now on. It's adapting to the new car, new setup, new aero package, downforce package, whatever you want to call it. So it's a good it's the new norm. Like they're going slower, they're going a lot slower than what they have been. So it's just trying to adapt to the package. I know Peyton has a different opinion on the race since he was there, and other opinions. So I think he can you can rebuttal this, Tim. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, after having, the half a week or whatever and like letting it, settle down and, looking back on it, uh, the week, it's my first time being in Atlanta and having the new configuration and being there in person. And I don't know, man. Like the truck race, I think the truck race arguably was maybe the best racing all weekend. I mean, they actually gave a really good show. Um, Xfinity, like we said, was kind of crapshoot, and Daniel Hemrick, I'll never forgive you for taking away an amazing finish. If Daniel Hemrick doesn't slide up the track, we're gonna have Parker and Hill side by side. I think Hill probably still wins that, but
How Austin Hill didn't go head first in the wall is beyond
yeah,
me.
yeah, I don't know what Daniel Hemrick was doing. I mean, it almost looked like
He
when
saw a two
Brian
for one.
Vickers. Yeah, it's when Brian
Hmm.
Vickers got Dale and Jimmy at Dega. It's kind of like what it almost looked like he was trying to do. Hey, whatever, I guess. But
Unpopular opinion of mine, I don't think Vickers did that on purpose.
I don't think he
No,
did
he was
either.
trying to go with
Yeah,
Johnson.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
there
don't
was
think.
no way.
No, I
Mhm.
don't think he did either. I'm just using that example.
Right,
But
right. But I know a lot of
uh,
people think he did.
yeah. But I think what made it rough was the weather. Like, and it was just so cold. I mean, it was
Hmm.
freezing. It was so bad. Uh, after Xfinity and trucks ran, we were like, we're gonna have to go get us some blankets at Walmart, and so we have them tomorrow because it showed us it's gonna be even colder the next day. It was freezing in Atlanta, and so to have that, and then you get out there and I don't know, man. The first stage was frustrating because they just roll around in a line behind Logano, and then even at the end of the stage, they got a little racy. But like Logano had the most easy stage win ever in NASCAR history. All he had to do was hold the wheel. Um, so thankfully, they got racing there at the end. I think they're going to adjust the package a little bit. I think it's just having they need to have more horsepower or less because they're gonna do something because I don't think the racing was that great. I mean, I don't like the fact that for the last 60 laps, like I could have told you that whoever was in the top five was gonna win the race because there was no moving if you were in the back. There's nowhere to go. There's no
Hmm.
momentum. It's just like I mean like Brad the last few laps or the majority of those laps just changing lanes. No one can really make a run on them. So I wasn't a massive fan on that. I will say it was an exciting finish, and really wish Brad would have got that one. But I'll admit, it was exciting racing at the end. But overall, I think they're just going to adjust it a little bit because the track's going to get worse and worse with time. Was with the more of the new rubs off, the track's going to lose grip or whatever. I just, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. I love super speedways, absolutely love them. I'm not sold on New Atlanta yet.
I love the new Atlanta, personally. I do. Absolutely loved it. I loved it last season. Loved it this season. It's just the only problem
Entertaining.
is, like you said, it is very entertaining. But the only
Yeah.
problem, like you said, is they had to make it narrower for the banking, which hurt it. Like you said, you get, 5, 6, 7 rows back. Well, guess what? You're just kind of stuck there. Like you mentioned, Matt, you can't go 3 wide with the new cars. So that aspect isn't there. And but the Atlanta, I absolutely love it. I think they made the right call making it a super speedway. Do I want to see them do it to other tracks? Absolutely not. I think if you go to Texas or something like that, it's not going to be the same outcome. But to have a 1.5 mile super speedway when Daytona's 2.5, Talladega's 2.6, you see something that you don't have to worry about at Daytona and Talladega is that inside line falling apart with the tire wear. Well, they had to worry about that. You had to move up the track, go to the outside line. And that adds a new aspect of super speedway racing that we aren't accustomed to seeing. So me, I love the new Atlanta.
I can see that. I think like I said, looking back on it, if I was home Like I love going to the track. Don't get me wrong. I had a blast. I would have a blast going to a NASCAR race. You can go to a NASCAR race and the whole race not be a single pass. You'll still have fun. Going
Hmm.
to a NASCAR race is like unlike anything in the world. However, like for the actual racing product itself, I think I'd enjoyed it more being at home instead of being there at the track freezing watching them train around the track. I could have been at home warm and like when they're training, been on my phone or whatever, doing whatever you do when you watch a race. I think that was the problem. I think everybody like when I was at the track leaving, everybody it sounded like fans were a bit frustrated. Just the overall opinion. I think the weather just kind of hurt it to be honest, and I think over time I'll enjoy this race more, especially when I go back and watch more clips from this race and everything because I've not really watched any of the broadcast yet. Um, I don't know though. I mean, I just need a little bit more. I need more time to get, I guess. Let me watch a little bit more Atlanta. We'll see what they do, and maybe eventually I'll get on the new Atlanta train. It's
You
just
sh-
rough because Atlanta was so good, and now it's kind of, I don't know.
you should go to Twitter and tag Mike Joy and let him know how you feel about it.
No, I'm not gonna do
Mike
that.
Joy.
I
Poor
love
Mike
Mike Joy
Joy.
too much.
What a legend he is too, huh?
He can't. I think Fox told him to kind of apologize on Twitter.
Yeah, his apology was. To me, it's not necessary for him to apologize. But that's
he's
the
still
new
a
world.
legend.
That's the new world.
Yeah.
So,
Cancel culture will get you.
yep. But hey, you guys got anything else about Atlanta before we move on here? It's getting a little late.
I will say this though, your boy Blaney came back from his costly penalty, so he got a top.
Yeah,
tip.
let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about that real quick. So, obviously, NASCAR had the new pit road access entry. What are your thoughts on that? Because me personally, not just because he got penalized, I absolutely hate it.
It was a
But
safety
I
thing.
see why they did it because it's a very short entrance to pit road. You got to get off that banking in 3 and 4, and you're going to get ran over if you're trying to make that transition. But I know why they did it, but if you speed, he got lucky with cautions because for a while there weren't any cautions. He got lucky. But if you speed, your race is over during green flag pit stops. It's over. 2 laps
Also,
down.
If you speed, or let's say Christopher Bell stays out 5 more laps, he has the whole field 2
Mhm.
laps down. So you only get 1 lap for a wave around.
Yep.
So he's going to be the only guy on the lead lap
Yep.
if a caution would have came out. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm with you, Ronnie. Like I personally thought it was okay. Like there was no like parity that went involved with it with the cautions or anything.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a safety thing. Like you don't want the whole field wadding up trying to get to pit road. I mean, at
And that would
Daytona
happen.
right? Yeah, and the good thing last year with the 2 Atlanta races, there was no green flag stops.
Mhm.
Like this was the first true Atlanta race with green flag stops. So kind of glad they did the change without having to cause everything that would have happened if they kept the old pit road. But yeah, I it was really weird seeing cars go like so slow around the the access, like just trying to get to pit road. Like
And
it, I don't know. I thought it was okay, but it still could have been. It was just different. It wasn't the status quo what we're normally seeing with pit road. Like if another race, we're not talking about pit road.
Mhm.
Like unless an incident that happened. So
another thing that I don't
yeah.
like about it is they can claim it's safety, which obviously it is. But my thing is, turn 3 and 4, you got cars that are going 35 mile an hour down on the apron. You got cars 2 lanes wide going race speed around them. Someone gets spun on that outside line, gets hooked. Where are they going to go? They're going to go down the track. At race speed, they rear end the guy at 35 mile an hour. That guy gets rear ended, he's going to be feeling that for a while. We just saw concussions huge last season. So there's another reason I didn't exactly like is, yeah, it's safety for the entrance, but what about the guys that are going 35 mile an hour around the apron there? So yes, while there's pros to the safety, to me, there's also a lot of cons to the safety as well.
Yeah, I fully get what point you're trying to make, Ronnie. Like, I actually don't mind them doing it for the safety point because I like saw a video on Twitter of somebody was like, like showing it off. Like they were on the track in a truck,
Hmm.
and they were going from the lane down to pit road, and it is crazy that transition. It is wild, and I can only imagine at full speed when these drivers get down pit road. That is extremely scary, extremely dangerous. I understand why NASCAR moved the line where it is. However, I also understand why people are a little bit, somewhat upset about it. Like we said, you lose a lot of time, you lose more than 2 laps, and like you said, the safety, as in if there's a wreck and that guy is in it, like that's going to be a rough one. That
Hmm.
one's going to be absolutely, that's going to be bad. So it's weird to say. I think it just needs adjusted though. Like if I could fix it myself, I think you're just going to have an either overall quicker, like a higher miles per hour pit speed, or maybe make that section like on the bottom of turn 3 and 4. Like, so I don't know how you would necessarily do this for the cars, but make a like a speed limit for it. Like, okay, in this section we're gonna go like 70 miles an hour, but the second we get to the normal pit road,
Yep.
you have to be down to the normal speed.
Agreed.
Something like that. That way, if even because we always have that risk, while you're pitting, you get in a wreck. That way, at least they're moving a bit, so the G-force won't be as bad.
Agreed. 100%. But your boy Ross taking full advantage of no timing lanes being out there in that infield grass.
He was off roading.
Yeah, he was off roading, all right. He was also speeding.
Yeah.
Anyone with 2 eyes could see that.
There's
Well,
no timing loops down the grass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's
all
not-
know that now.
It's not
Ross
necessarily.
Chastain finds a loop every year. He found
No,
it in Indy. He
no,
found it
no.
in Atlanta.
That's not what happened. When he got his pit stop, you get going and guys check out in front of you. They're all pulling out. He was trying to be aggressive because track position mattered so much. I wouldn't have drove out on the grass, but Ross Chastain, we've already been proven that dude, thinks a little bit different than everybody else. So hey, I mean, he tried it. It didn't really work, but hey, it doesn't surprise me on that. He had a little bit of an interesting race to say the least on Atlanta.
Yeah, he did wrecking Harvick and.
Here we go. Yeah, I knew that would come eventually. Like I said,
He didn't wreck Harvick.
No.
we
I'll
talked
stand on
about
that, though.
this.
He didn't wreck Harvick.
We talked about this in the group chat. I understand both sides. Ross never really touched him. It looked like from all the clips I've seen. I
Mhm.
don't think he ever touched him. However, you can't deny that he got close to Harvick. He was being aggressive, trying to push him. I mean, him and Harvick worked together, got all the way to the front. We haven't really saw people go to the bottom and be able to do that. I mean, he was way back in the pack, and I sat there and watched him just crawl through. And Harvick saw it, pulled down, and he pushed him all the way to the lead. I was like, holy cow. And he just, Ross, being aggressive, is trying to push Harvick. Got a little too close. Harvick gets loose, and then it's on. So, in my opinion, I chalk it down as a racing incident. It's an aggressive racing incident for sure. And sure, if you have to blame someone, you're obviously going to fuss at Ross because,
100%.
his
Yeah.
car was the one close to Harvick. But Ross didn't wreck Harvick. He didn't do it on purpose. He wasn't doing whatever. I think it's just a racing thing. It's the thing with these cars. Ross was sitting there right behind him, and just Harvick got loose, and at that point, I mean, it's on. So
Ross needs a
um,
1 race suspension.
I don't know
Yeah,
about
for
that.
intentionally wrecking.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
He knew he was
It-
too close to him. He knew what he was doing.
He's gonna
That
come
was-
out and say he intentionally wrecked Harvick, and he's gonna get the half a season with no
Hey,
waiver.
If he came out and said he did, I bet you money he would get a penalty. But that whole situation was rough because I mean I'm sitting there at the race and my papa was sitting beside me. He's a Harvick fan. I'm a Ross fan, and we just kind of look at each other. Yeah, not the greatest moment for the race for us, but hey, I feel bad for Harvick though. I mean, we didn't even talk about Phoenix in this podcast because he got absolutely Harrison Burton just stole a win from Harvick last week. And then, here he is. He's running well. He was at the front, fell back, and then, with help of Ross, gets back to front. And then, coming off of 2, he gets loose, and then it's over. So, rough 2 weeks for Harvick, man. Kind of feel bad for him.
Absolutely. Matt, you got anything to add about Atlanta before we move on here?
Covered it all. I mean, think we got all our points across. I think there's nothing really else I can think of that happened.
All right. Coda, coming up. It's going to be another interesting one. Hopefully it doesn't rain. I haven't seen the forecast, but, We talked about it earlier with the choose cone rule. Uh-oh.
I would love it rains. I would love for it to rain at Coda.
We saw the crapshoot it was in season, or the first time they went there. We don't need it to rain there.
Well, it can rain, but it can't be a downpour. How about that?
All right. Yeah,
Sure.
Coda. It's gonna be an interesting one this week. Peyton, start us off. Who you got for your lock in and your sleeper?
I don't want to go first. I think I'm doing a
Oh
little
my
bit better than y'all. Not the two bone horn. I mean, the
Okay, I
viewers might
picked
not-
Corey
my
LaJoy,
viewers-
and the guy
my-
came
the
home
viewers-
fourth.
The
All right.
man
The
goes 8 for
viewers-
10 in his modifieds and thinks he owns
The-
the place.
The viewers might not have saw it, but even though we didn't have the podcast last week, we all sent our picks in the group chat, and I picked Brad, and he almost got it done. Okay.
And I picked
So,
LaJoy. Give me
I mean,
a break.
As your sleeper. As
I
your
blame
sleeper. So I'm just saying, I think I'm doing overall better than y'all, so I want to go last.
All right, Matt,
I'm gonna
start
give
it
y'all
off.
this.
All right, fine. All right, we got Mr. Humble over there. I will go for my lock, a guy that arguably probably is the best road course racer in NASCAR.
You're welcome.
Could have won it. Could have won this race last year. I am going with good old the Dinger, AJ Allmendinger, as my lock. And then for my sleeper, I'm gonna go for a guy. I don't really know if he's a sleeper, but he has dug himself out of an extremely tough hole this season. He's run good at road courses in the past, and he's just keeps climbing up. He got the pole here before. I'll go with Tyler Reddick as my sleeper. So he's been struggling. I'd love to see him in a Toyota. Toyota kind of improved their game, but I don't know where he's at on the odds. But I would say probably Allmendinger, Larson, Chastain, probably the top three. So, but I'll go Dinger as my main lock, and then my sleeper pick is Tyler Reddick.
All right. I'm gonna kind of go with two sleeper picks here. My lock in, I guess, would be Michael McDowell. Honestly,
Wow.
he's gonna be my pick.
Yay.
He's always one of the he's always decent at road courses, super speedways. He's always that sleeper guy, And then my real sleeper is Formula One champion Jenson Button. I think he is going to come out here. I think he's going to do great.
Quick car.
He has
First win.
not ever raced Coda in his F1 career. But I think he is going to come out here and he is going to show once a champion, always a champion. And Jensen can get it done at Coda.
Interesting. Well, that last pick here, I was definitely going to go with AJ. AJ's going to be really strong this week. He's got a lot to prove after last year being so close so far. Unfortunate, AJ. But you know what?
You can't laugh after saying
Yeah.
that.
Hey, I mean, we could talk about that race. all
Take
we
your
want to,
watermelon
but,
and shove it where the sun don't shine.
hey,
Take
hey.
Chastain already.
You know what? I wasn't going to do this. Like I said, I was going to pick AJ if he was on the board. I'm just going to go with Trackhouse as a whole this
Who
week.
are you
I mean,
lying to? I wasn't going to do
I'm
this.
not. I'm
Shut
not.
up.
I'm definitely going to take AJ. But, Chevy, we just talked about it, has all the speed. There's no Chase Elliott. I think Kyle Larson, Tuck hit it on the head there. I'm sure Larson will be up there. But Trackhouse people forget Daniel Suarez he won the first stage. This was Daniel's breakout race for Trackhouse, other than Dirt Bristol the first year. This was the first race we really saw Daniel Suarez have a bunch of speed in that car. So he's going to be my sleeper, and I'm going to go with the guy who won the race last year. I'm probably doing a bad job at jinxing Ross at this point in the season, but it's hard not to pick him because how good he was under pressure last year at this track. He was by far and away the best guy overall that day. Sure, at the very end, AJ came in and calmed him down, and they had a good battle. But Ross, ever since after Daniel Suarez got caught in traffic, he was by far the best car. So I want to watch out for him. And I might be kind of cheating a little bit, but I'm gonna throw a little second sleeper in there. Watch out for Kimmy, especially if it rains. Everybody forgets that Kimmy is racing in this race Project 91. If it rains, Kimmy, I could see Kimmy winning this whole thing. But if it doesn't, I could easily see Kimmy running top 10. I mean, he did really well at his Watkins Glen start. I think he learned a lot then, and he's going to have a really good race. He'll be a contender. I don't know for the win per se. We'll see, but I'd imagine he'll be running for a top 10.
The only thing that's going to help Kimmy is his experience at Coda.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna change my
Of course you are.
pick because Tyler Reddick has better odds than AJ Allmendinger according to DraftKings. So I don't understand that. Tyler Reddick's at 9-1 and Allmendinger's at 12-1. So
That's crazy.
so I
Hey.
don't. Larson's the favorite at 9-2. Chastain's 8-1. Kyle Busch 8-1. Tyler Reddick 9-1. Allmendinger at 12. Byron at 12. So I'll have Allmendinger as my locked in at 12, and then I'm gonna go a guy that's at 15-1 on DraftKings, Austin Cindric as my sleeper.
Yeah.
So I'll have Cindric as my sleeper. He's running a good kill before.
I thought Cindric would be too high to be a sleeper. Like honestly, if a Chevy doesn't win this race, I would predict it was either Cindric or Bell that ends up stealing this race. Both ran really well there last year. I just think this is going to be kind of the Chevy train gets rolling again at Coda, and even though Chase Elliott isn't there, I think they'll have a good race.
I think Jordan Taylor's gonna do.
I think he'll do solid.
Yeah, I do too. I think he'll run top 15, top 10.
That might be a little bold. That might be a little too much. I
I
think
can see it.
we'll see though. I mean, Joey Hand,
He's-
like we saw when he jumped in a Rick Ware car the first time and stuff, and he ran well. So maybe
That's kind of see how I'd do with Button though. He's gonna do what like kind of Joey Hand did. It's not gonna
Yeah.
really stand out. But another guy to throw out there, ran good at road courses. Good old Chris Buescher too. I think he ran good at road courses last year. I could see him possibly doing something too. So
he almost won Sonoma, so
Mhm.
that wouldn't surprise me.
and he
at
ran good
all.
at Watkins Glen too.
And heck, with how much speed RFK's had, I know Busher hasn't had a great start of the year, but Brad's been on fire. So yeah, I would definitely say he's one to watch at Coda. I would be shocked if he isn't in the top 10.
You know,
I mean-
before we end this podcast, there's one name that you didn't throw as a sleeper pick, Tim. I'm kind of disappointed in you.
Oh no, what did I do? Are you gonna talk about like Jimmy or something? Like
No, the dude is now 1,000-1, last on the board. Good old Cody,
Cody
Ware.
yes, you remember to bring up Cody Ware.
But you know what
Let's
he's not
go.
last in? The standings.
Point.
He is beating Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson.
Let's go.
And Justin Haley.
and
We're
everybody-
beating Justin Haley.
everybody's
Justin
beating
Haley is
Haley.
not even on NASCAR's standings on their
That's because
app.
he's in the negatives.
That's messed up. That's
That is messed
disrespectful.
up. They ought to still have him on there, but
Justin Haley's a talented young driver is developing. Do not. Why y'all gotta disrespect him like that? That's
Yeah,
messed up.
Yeah, he better get. Or I'm gonna freaking riot if he doesn't get anything back. I'm gonna be so mad. He has to win a race. Literally has to like pull his rabbit out of the hat at
Yep.
Daytona or Talladega or Daytona now.
If the standings stay how they are for Justin, I'll go and tell you, like there was a small chance he could point his way in. He would now 1,000% have to win a race, and it's probably not to be a super speedway.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't count your boy out. I wouldn't give up on Haley. Heck, usually
Uh-huh.
I usually have Haley in my like fantasy lineups at super speedways. The dude's really good there. So
I'm kind of interested to see what he does this week because the last road course was the Roval and he ran top 5. So I hope he gets another run solid top 10 too. So
should be an interesting week.
it
The
will be.
highlight being Ross Chastain throwing a melon from the tower, and then throwing another melon in the race. That's gonna.
I'm
be really
gonna
cool.
go out on a limb and say if this race is on Fox, right? It's on the main
Correct.
Fox broadcast.
Yep.
I think so.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this race gets more views than the Daytona 500.
I don't think it's out on a limb. I think just the amount of people that are coming in this
Mhm.
race from all over the world. Not to mention this track is known all over the world. It would not shock me at all. I mean,
Yep.
not to mention even the only thing that's hurting this race from being 1,000% good and people coming in is all the Chase fans that won't watch because Chase is on the field.
That's
the
true.
one thing that's hurting.
All right, one last thing. Tire testing has started at North Wilkesboro. So this thing is getting real. Can't wait. Finally, getting the
Carson
classic
Host.
track back.
3 seconds. of fall off.
Carson Hocevar tweeted that they have 3-second fall off. Oh my lord! Like if that happens, just imagine, man, all the guys like slipping and sliding. It's gonna be like an old Richmond race feel. It's gonna be that exciting, I think. So as long as the truck or as long as the cup like kind of have the same, but I don't think they really will have long runs because of the like way the All-Star
breaks.
race works.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I hope that race is so good that way they can just put it on the schedule for a points paying race. So I'm excited to get the driver feedback, and I just want that race to happen right now.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it's been a good one here. It's been a long one. We're at an hour and a half now, but we had 2 weeks of a lot of stuff to cover. It was drama filled around NASCAR, so it was another good one, guys, and appreciate y'all being here.
Heck yeah,
Good
man.
to be back.
Absolutely.
Great to be back.
Yeah, it was a long 2 week break there, or 1 week, I guess. But that is going to do it for episode 9 and 10 here of the NEXXTCAR podcast. Starting next season, we're going to be under a whole new name. So, new name, same podcast. So, definitely looking forward to that. And eventually, we're going to be getting into some other podcasts with the new news and everything that we're going to be covering with NEXXTCAR. We're going to be doing another draft, I believe, just like last season. So, a lot of upcoming things coming up in this off season here for NEXXTCAR. But guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and good night.